Good.
Awesome. So we're ranging from Connecticut to Las Vegas. Welcome to Coffee Connect, everybody. I'm Rodney. I'm your host today. And we are going to have an awesome day of book sharing. And I know this is a small group in comparison to what we were last week. Everybody logged in for Tony's awesome LinkedIn experience and stuff. I'm sure Scott just popped in here. We'll have some more folks tie in. But today is our book share, like our fall book share. We typically do this about once a quarter, at least twice a year. We try and do a book share. I know there are a lot of readers in the group, and so it's always good to hear what other folks are doing and what they're learning and where they're learning things from. Before we kind of go out there, and I'm not even sharing my screen, so I'm not even worried about that. I do want to let you guys know we set out in March, right, to have a goal of 100 new folks attend Coffee Connect. We are at 61 right now, and we're not even halfway through, or we're right around that halfway point because March 31st was our anniversary. Doing great on that, guys, and really looking forward to celebrating that goal with you when we get to that 100 mark. Just keep pushing, right, and keep inviting people. And I recently actually added the Cleveland area networking link to our Coffee Connect emails too. So, I think it's important that we share all the events and all the things that are going on so that people can get in there and look and go, well, I know Joanne goes to breakfast, so I know at least I can go to breakfast and there will be a familiar face at breakfast, and I don't have to be the only one there trying to meet new people and stuff. So, that's huge. Zeph, unfortunately, you're the only one in Connecticut today. But hey,
What
Shannon,
happened?
yeah. Oh, Shannon was joining us for a while. She was with us for a while again, and then she got busy again, I think. We haven't seen Lorraine for a while, and there's several others up that way that we haven't seen for a while. But I'm sure when they find some time in their life, Jan included, right? We were trying to get Jan on here a couple weeks ago, right, Dave? 2 weeks ago, and but definitely we want to get those folks back into us in here. I think Jan will tie in because her planting season and growing season is coming to an end here. So hopefully we'll see her real soon too. So first of all, I want to look at some poll. I got some polls I want to throw out there, guys, and really just kind of picking up like what are your reading habits? What are the reading habits of the group? So there's actually three separate polls, and part of it assesses your reading habits, your genre preference, and then kind of where you're influenced at and stuff. So if you can take a minute and just kind of tie into this before we start to go to breakout rooms and sharing of those books that we're reading. First question there, how do you typically choose what to read next? And there are several questions in this poll here, guys, so if you can answer all of them, that would be good.
As a co-host, it won't let me answer.
What?
I get to see the results, but I don't get to answer the quiz.
What if I send you a QR code?
I can hit the get QR and see what that does.
Because I can't answer either, obviously.
Guys, I'm driving, so I can't answer. So
Just pull over. It's easy.
Oh, that was. I was like,
yeah,
who's talking to me?
That was
Somebody's
Scott.
talking to me. I got
Now,
you.
yeah, if I do it from the QR code, I can. So,
Oh, you were able to with the QR code?
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. That means I can do it too. We got 30% participation right now.
So you ask us to specify our others, but we can't.
But no
Oh,
font.
well, we'll talk about those. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Rodney, if I can speak up here for a second,
Yep.
for those of you that aren't aware, Lamar is making a good recovery. He actually drove himself to a breakfast I was at on Saturday, walked from his car inside and back. He was smiling, which he always is anyway.
So that's awesome news.
Did he do his test drive? Last week he mentioned he was going to go out for a test drive on Friday. Do you know if he
Well,
did?
He must have, because he drove to breakfast on Saturday by himself.
That's
And I offered to meet him at the door and park his car for him. And he said, "Oh, no, nope." And he was right. He was fine.
Perfect. Looks like we've got 10 responses, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 of us, right? And I know there's a couple people that can't respond because they're driving. So we'll go ahead and end that poll. And there's 3 sets of polls, guys. I'll share the results real quick so you can kind of see what's out there, right? So by far, a majority of us take recommendations from friends and family. And I think that reason alone is one reason why we should be here, right? And then the other reason is other, right? So what's our other recommendations that we're taking, or other reasons or ways that we choose what we're about to read? Someone feel free to shout out how they like to choose.
personally, I do it on the topic of what I need, what I'm looking for in particular. So I do a deep dive into that.
Okay, so yeah, if you're looking for mindfulness stuff, or if you're looking for computer stuff or whatever, perfect. Yep. What else?
It's similar to because of a topic, but I'll hear lots of recommendations from the podcasts I listen to. They'll interview an author, and then I just will go read, or listen, in my case, listen to the audiobooks of that author because they said some interesting things.
Yeah, I think, I came back from a BTS this past weekend, business training school over in Indianapolis, and lots of notes that I took, but I think I came away with like 5 different books that people were people that are really doing well in the business that said, man, I read this book and this was the book that kind of had it flipped this switch for me, right? And if I felt like that's a switch that I need to amplify or switch, right, then I might be picking that book up, right, and stuff. And the good news is my wife is that way too. And if my wife thinks that that's a switch that I need to flip, right, or amplify, she'll pick that book up for me, which is awesome, right? So good deal. Question number 2, right? Do we follow any specific authors? It looks like a lot of us do follow some specific authors. If you can, and we won't yell these out, but if you can, throw down your authors in the chat, right? If you've got authors that you're following or people that you love to read, right? Let's put those in the chat, and we can capture those in the chat. Where do we like to read? I think most of us are at home. I'm curious about the other. When people say other,
I apparently was the other person this time around, but I do a lot of the audio. So it's always while I'm doing something, while I'm moving, while I'm getting ready. So it's the on the move.
I was another other. I'm listening in my car almost all the time. If I'm
and
traveling,
I may have said at home, but I was trying to click both, but I didn't realize I had only put a single choice down on that thing, guys, right? Because one thing I learned when I left corporate America 8 years ago was you got to figure out a way to make every available moment a learning experience, right? Somebody had made the reference of turning your car into a classroom, right? Turn your car into a classroom. And I think I shared with Sarah and them last week, right? My 4-hour drive up to you guys to go see for the Tilly cook-off and stuff, right, was spent listening to an audio, right? And I finished up that book in that 4-hour time, and then was able to listen to it again on the way home, so I could really solidify some of the concepts and stuff that they were talking about in my head and stuff. So turn your car into a classroom for sure. What's the reason that you read? Entertainment for a lot, or for one of us, and then education, I think, for most of us. And most of us here, I think, if not all of us, right, are in this mindset of, hey, we like to grow, we like to learn, and that's why we come here every week So we can do those things. And if education wouldn't have been the top choice there, I would have been a little concerned maybe, but for sure it is. And then what's the reading goal? And we'll talk more about these as we go through the reading goals, but you know, a few of us don't have a goal for next year. And then most of us have at least read us more than what we read this year. And there's one person that has a specific number of books. I bet you I can guess who that is. Jeff?
I didn't mark that.
No.
I on Goodreads I do put a specific number in, but I always try to go way past that.
So who's got the specific number of books? Good deal, Sarah.
Of course. And this year I did back it down though, because like Jeff, I ended up overdoing it. So I decided I'd slow myself down.
Can you tell us the number?
This year I had to look it up. It's 30. Last year I hit 50.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, that's just a little over more than one book every 2 weeks, guys. That's a lot of reading, right? And especially even if you're listening to audios, comprehending that stuff is takes some time beyond just listening to it, right? And so, good deal, guys. Good deal. We're gonna stop sharing that. How do I go back to? There we go. So next one, genre preferences. There's only one question here, guys. So this is a real easy one. I think most of us are probably going to answer similar questions or similar answers to this.
And going back to Jeff's comment, the podcast get in the way of books. So I personally have to struggle between that because when do you read the book versus the podcast?
No, and that's a great point, right? And I think a lot, many of us probably group those things, right? Books, podcasts, you know, any kind of audios or anything like that, probably into a similar group of things of like, where am I getting knowledge from or information from? It's not just a matter of just reading, right?
How do you set a single choice as for the genre?
How do I set a single choice?
Why did you pick only a single choice option for this?
Because I was making this poll at 7:30 this morning and I probably wasn't fully awake. Honest. Right.
I bounce across multiple genres intentionally.
And I think that's a good thing to do because if you are stuck in one genre, right? I mean, your mind is going to try and process all of these things that are probably crossing over each other versus let me separate all the information that's coming in. Good deal. One more poll, and then we'll wrap, and then we'll run into some breakout rooms so we can talk about the books that we've been reading and share. I don't know why I have to stop the poll thing to get to the next thing. Maybe not. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. That might be part of it. Last one. 3 questions in this one. First one, how many books do you read on average per month? What is your preferred source of reading, hard copy, ebooks, or audiobooks? And then how many hours a week do you dedicate to reading? I feel like the QR code might have been handy for everybody. I should have just like. And of course, that's a multiple choice one that I sent for the first one.
That was weird.
Don't kill me. Don't kill me, man. All right. Perfect. I can't get mine submitted. Sure. So good deal. And I'll publish these once we get done in the follow-up emails, guys. But a majority of us read about an hour to 2 hours a week or more, right? 90% of us more than 1 to 2 hours a week, which is awesome. Kind of a fashion between hard books and audio books between the two of us. Who's the ebook readers? Dave reads ebooks. Who else? Am I missing something? Rita too? Well, I've had a hard time with ebooks, mainly just because my eyes. I think I spend too much time on a computer already. Do you guys have any issues like that you find? Go ahead, Rita.
So what I find is, you have to check. I manually manipulate my settings on my iPad to where I will turn the background dark, if that helps. And I will turn the brightness down, because sometimes I do like reading in dim light or no light. And if you are sitting there in dim light or no light, you should be turning that down. Now, obviously, you have to support you being able to read it, but you don't need full brightness, full white paper background if you're sitting there in dim light. You're straining your eyes by doing that. So that's one of the things that I do.
Good deal. And then how many hours a week do we dedicate to reading? Again, I said hours up here. This is actually books, 1 to 2 to 3 to 5 books a month. Hours, it's kind of a wide array right across the board, anywhere from less than an hour all the way to more than 7 hours a week. I think it's important, right? I mean, obviously, if you're on the latter end of how many books you want to read, then you got to dedicate more time to reading and stuff like that. But I think regardless of what you're doing or whatever, right, we should all find 10 to 15 minutes, I think, a day that we can put our heads into something that we're going to learn in a book or even a podcast or something like that to do. So let's do this. We're going to go to some breakout rooms, guys, and it's really just about sharing that book. I would like to keep it to one book. So often we get in and we want to talk about 2, 3, 4, 5 books that we've been reading. If you can focus on one, we want you to focus on one, give us a summary of the book. 2, give us an impact that you feel that book has had on you as to why you've selected it to talk about today, right? And then lastly, if you can talk about 1 or 2 talking points that might be valuable, why someone else may want to read that book. And so I'm going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms. We're only going to go 3 people per room right now. Recreate. Why is that? There we go. Open the rooms. I will see you guys back here shortly. On that same note, right, because we were talking about this in our books, and we started talking about the impact or the reasoning that the ultimate ends, right, to why we were reading these books. How many of you guys have heard the story about the guy walking along the path? He comes to a Y in the road, right, or a fork in the road, and there are 2 people guarding. There's a guy guarding each road. One lies all the time, and one always tells the truth, right? Which question are you to ask to know which path to go down to get to success? Right? You can go ahead and ponder that. The reason that came back into my head is because we were talking about, we are guiding people, like Sarah and I, in our lives, in our businesses, right? Our overall goal was to have an impact on others, right? And we help guide them towards hopefully making the right choices towards success and achieving the goals that they want and things like that, right? I said, when I was in Pennsylvania, I lived at this place called 5 Forks, and it was literally 5 forks in the road. Now imagine you're on your journey in life, right? And all of a sudden you come to this place and you're like, oh my gosh, it's bad enough just having 2, right? And all of a sudden now you've got all these other choices, right? As much as I love Cheesecake Factory, I hate Cheesecake Factory because it's got 36 pages in their menu, right? And you're trying to figure out what the heck to eat, right? So awesome. So what did you guys hear? What was the reasoning? What was some of the reasoning why people were reading their books, or they gave that you should read their books? Feel free to unmute.
Well, to me, I just think we just talked about mostly we talk about within our group we're most about like the historical books and historical content, and then Jeff had mentioned Insidious. We got to talk about like the banking and stuff, and then of course, and then like Yeah, by me doing, like I say, studying presidents and wartime presidents, I brought up the Andrew Jackson and the Second Bank and all that stuff back there. So, like the tariffs and banking has been really like, that's something we don't think about. If you go, that's been a big issue all through our progress in the country. Like, I mean, ever since like 1800s. So that was something which we kind of got to. I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Bob brought up a similar point when he was talking about he likes reading the historical books because again, it's great for us to read and look at the mistakes that people have lived, right? So that we hopefully don't have to live them. But unfortunately, it also helps us understand why history will continue to repeat itself because we failed to learn some of those lessons along the way, right? What else did you guys hear?
So in my group, and she was talking about how to manage money, and so I think there was some point regarding that, and I think that I can manage money a little bit better when I hear those things. I never put a lot of thought into that, but then when I heard about those things, that she was talking more of in a company perspective, but some of them can apply to my personal lives or life also. So that is one point, or that is one thought which I can think about more, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only to learn lessons, but also to upskill, right? Our current roles or just our lifestyles and things like that, because there are a lot of stuff that we have to do that maybe we don't know how to do the best, right? And so always great to learn those things. Listen, we're going to go to another breakout rooms. We're just going to shuffle this up a little bit. Again, get a chance to share your book, your experience, right? And the impact that it may have had on you as well, what it can have on others with some other folks that are out there. I went ahead and shuffled these up. We're going to go. I didn't mean to have a 7-minute time limit on that last one, but let me take that off of there so we're not restricted. I will see you guys back here shortly.
Poor Jeff, we didn't give him a chance to jump in.
What?
All good.
You guys neglecting Jeff D up there.
Okay, but we had too much in common.
It was synergy. Is that the word?
Oh, you were
Synergy?
talking to Zeph. Oh, yeah, now I know.
Jeff took a back seat to Zeph. It's all good.
Sorry, Jeff. I should have gave you the option.
Yeah, but Chef GPT is laughing on that, and look at him going back and forth.
I made it very clear in both breakout rooms. I honestly don't. I'm guilty of not making enough time to read. So I was inspired by the others who shared their reading journeys. So there we go. Everyone won.
So while we are kind of in this midterm, we're going to go to one more breakout room. But if everyone can start putting their book title and preferably their author in the chat, when we are done today, guys, I want to take a moment to I'll consolidate that list and I'll get it emailed out to everybody. So if there was a book that you heard about today or something like that that you couldn't remember, then we can obviously get those out to everybody. Anything new that you guys learned in the second group that you guys were like, wow, wait a minute. Obviously, Zeph and Sarah had a great time.
And
Jeff,
knowing them, how could they not?
Well, she's reading a book that she is pushing herself through because it's one of those inspirational. It's kind of like with Bob, where this is going to be great information and it's going to be an amazing learning experience, but sometimes the way it's written isn't all that enjoyable, which is ironic. I just watched a video yesterday on the 4 standard writing styles or voices of writing and why we like them or don't like them and the combination thereof. I'll find that, and this may explain why you're struggling with that book.
Perfect. And so what's the name of the book that you're reading, Zeph?
Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Gotcha. Zeph might already be supernatural. I don't know. So we got introduced, guys, to Zeph probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere. I mean, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
I've been invited onto her and Shannon's when they were doing their show. We were on I was following them for quite a bit on LinkedIn when they were doing their lives and stuff in the morning. You're not doing those anymore, are you?
Well, remember 2023, I took sabbatical. I'm back. Watch me in the next few weeks.
Gotcha. Those were always enjoyable mornings to get on and watch them too, and listen. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent like I've already done. So let's go off to one more breakout room. It's 10:50, guys. We'll wrap this up. Get a chance to share one more time with those that we maybe not have had a chance to share with yet. I was trying to find some links and stuff. I'll get those for the playback. So I think we got everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. So I had to shuffle those rooms up again because we had a couple people leave, but appreciate you guys' time today. Listen, I've already got 3 new books that I need to pick up and go read, so that's good. That's a good thing. Hopefully you guys as well found some opportunities that you're going to be able to capitalize on in the reading world or audiobook world or whatever it is that you guys choose to enjoy. Zeph, thank you so much for joining us again this morning. Next week we'll be back to kind of a normal rotation of what we're going to do, and we're going to talk about how to maximize your net worth and your network through the holidays. As we know, as we come into Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything, things tend to slow down, but that doesn't mean that you, right, have to slow down. Sue Nelson pointed out yesterday, one of the biggest hiring weeks for those of us that are in transition is typically that week between Christmas and Thanksgiving. And if you slow down now, it's very well that you might miss that train, right? And so we don't want to miss those opportunities, whether you're in business, you're in transition, or you're just retired and trying to help some folks out in the way that we all should, right? Go out there, have a great week, everybody. Remember, I love you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
One happy reading.
Bye, Zeph.
Bye.
Take care.